Buddha said something about the middle way. There are probably quite a few ways to understand the meaning of it, but the usual easy one to know is that don't do too much and don't do too little, or something like that. I think the example was the guy who was training himself and he was doing too much, and he said, if you use the archery analogy, if you pull too much, it's not going to help, or some such thing. I don't remember exactly. In my case, this is the way I look at it. I'm kind of like a INPF, introvert, intuitive, perceptive, the INP, F feeling. And it's a mediator, they say. It's a mediator. To be a mediator, you need to look all around and check what's going on and trying to figure out, this guy's saying this way and that guy's saying that way. How can we make the balance? That's the mediator's role. And I was thinking that the mediator's role may fit to be finding the middle way. So in my whole life, have I been like that? I took chances here and there, first engineering to business and then to psychology or Zen. I'm from Japan to the US and traveling around. And right now I'm moving around every 3 months or so, from Hawaii to California to New Zealand to Japan every 3 months or something like that. And the reason for that is probably some amount of fear, if that's a negative term I use, but also for the sake of being cautious so that I don't get locked into some way of living. So it may be the fear, that's correct. But at the same time, I'm curious to see how people live in different countries and their cultural pattern, the thought, the values, all of that. It's very interesting. And I'm just trying to feel what I like in each of them instead of saying one is better than the other. Each has in each unique characteristics, and the example of the California, Santa Monica, where I am now. And I like to come back every year for 3 months or so, even though it's kind of crazy and can be dangerous. But there's some unique liveliness that I feel. There's negativity and crazy part I don't like, but there's a positive part, and people are, all varieties there. When you play pickleball, you can meet so many people with different background, and just detecting the body action, feeling how they're feeling from their body action, I can kind of respect, and often I'm more quiet than being talkative, except I'm happy to meet a bunch of people with a bunch of background to test, if I can communicate and to know what they're thinking, what their vision of the future, how they want to live, why. So maybe it's the precaution of me first lived in Japan for a long time and then moved to the US several times from age 25 or so, and finally settled in 1983 for 40-some years now, but also moved around to Ireland or New Zealand and other places. So I got, and also very much interested in, may have visited 40 different countries. Many of them are work related, but I'm always interested in the people. I'm not going to go into detail, but knowing different country, how they live. But there's something in common in all of us, and that's probably is one of the interesting points. And that's when I think about the root of who we are, I mentioned about know your true self. And if we have that sense, we are more, how can I say this, deeper from our origin instead of superficial ups and downs that you get pulled into, so that you have a better judgment and wisdom and compassion to bring out in what we may do. I'm talking out loud, so you don't have to believe me, but the middle way, therefore, is the way to know the extreme and find the passage and keep adjusting depending upon the environment changes and moving around physically, mentally, and hopefully contributing, like I said, shed the light even in the corner of the world, the mini universe that you can relate to with few people you meet to, or possibly like the YouTube and sharing ideas and getting some feedback or comment and so forth. That's quite interesting. So what's the point of it? Back to middle way. So extreme, no, but also from the Buddhist viewpoint, middle way is related to the dualistic notion and the absolute sense of who we are at the core. So there's a middle way, or harmonizing the ability to think, but also relate to the core of our being, where I call the wisdom and compassion is generated. So we find the alignment or passage, even relating to the external changes, we can relate to how we may position ourselves and for the organization to function in a meaningful manner. So middle way have various dimensions that we can think about. I guess that was one of my messages that I thought to produce this video and share. And probably one of the most fundamental middle way is to know who really are, each individual, true self, in your heart, the origin of who we are, the root of human species or living species, law of nature manifesting and living make us to be alive. And from that energy comes up. The brain itself doesn't have much energy unless you have some meaning you can find within yourself. Otherwise, you're just playing the game. It's shallow. So break up the mind confinement, connect to the heart, and have a balance so that you can not just connect to the heart and go into the cave and meditate, but rather to come back to the world. That's the Bodhisattva's way, that you may be able to be enlightened, but do the work for the people, not your own satisfaction or peace, but rather figuring out so that we can all share this idea of beings be happy. That's the mission, I see it, in my case. It may be too extraordinary. Why not? Living in this little room is part of the little bit of extreme. But now I may go to New Zealand and then, health hopefully is not too bad, that I can continue doing things and sharing ideas. And please send any comment as you wish. I'm an introvert, used to be, but I'm open to share my idea if you're interested, so that we can relate to each other, communicate each other, bounce back and forth ideas, and hopefully have fun. Thank you.